I was in London for about 12 years. I went initially to study. I did a law degree in, and also economics, and did some postgraduate work in legal economics. But all that time I was working on television as a political and legal analyst, focusing on the U.S., geopolitical relations, anything that dealt with sort of the economic state of the U.S. or politics. And during that time, it was quite interesting because as the sort of lone American on sort of British television or Russian television or Middle Eastern television, because most of the stations that are based internationally are actually based in London. So what would happen is you'd just be whisked away on one day to studio, talking about the same story over and over again, which, as you can imagine, the first time, it's interesting. After the 14th, when there was, I can't remember anything that happened over the course of that time. I am from Chicago, so I went to Morgan Park High School. I'm sure you guys got enough information on me. We currently live in sort of the Woodlawn Hyde Park area. I'd prefer that you guys ask as many questions as possible because I could go into this whole political spiel, but normally it comes out best through questions. So that being said, don't all rush in for a question. Sure.
Are you returning back to London soon?
Actually, I'm going on Friday. I have I do some work with the French government and the British government preparing papers on sustainable development, looking at, I run an organization called the Chicago Academy of Music, because by day I'm not always running for office. And we are opening up 25 free after-school music conservatories, the first starting on 63rd and King Drive. The next one is going to be in Cabrini Green. Then further on it's Humboldt Park, and then Pilsen, so it's southwest. And what they'll do is there'll be a daycare and a cafe funded by a free music conservatory, funding the free music conservatory. And so that's what we're doing. So I'm going into London and Paris to present on, there's this issue called the TFF, the transaction something, or TTF, one of them. It's a transaction tax on all the trades happening. So I have to go and present on that. I won't get into that. That's, unless you guys have a particular interest in economics, I'm happy to talk about it. Otherwise, we can sort of focus in on but I will be going to London on Friday.
That Chicago Academy, you said Chicago Academy of Music?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
When does that start?
Well, we're closing on the building on 63rd and King Drive as we speak. It takes about a month to do so. Oh my God. I had not planned to go into television or radio at all. At the BBC, doing a show called the Jeremy Vine program, I think it's called. And he needed a sort of legal analyst to talk about something. Bear in mind, I'm in my first month of law school, so there's no legal analysis whatsoever. Which, I talked to him about what I had done and, what the law was, and I quickly switched topic to some other thing I could talk about fluidly. And then that was it. After that point, I kind of reshifted out of the legal realm because I had no idea what of the time I was talking about, and went into my sort of strong suit of economics because I always had an interest in it. And then it just sort of spiraled. I had some disasters though. There's one, the second time, there's this weird sort of audition that I had for the show because of that same producer, and it was just horrible. I mean, I, to this day, do not know why they called me back. But that producer was fired, and they had heard about me. So make sure you get to know a lot of producers in the program, because even on your first shot, you might, But that was kind of how I entered. But as far as work goes, I'd say probably just getting through my degrees, because you guys are blessed with financial aid. No, see, because I was the guy, and this is just the strange transition into politics, the person who would just be asked questions. So I'd come in as the sort of not so brain trust about a particular set of topics. But I had met Prince William and Harry and also the Duke of Westminster, their dad and grandfather, but I have not met the Queen because they were always doing something, so you would run into them a lot easier if you were in and around London. And also I worked for the Conservative Party a little bit, and so through luncheons or something, and I did a lot of debates in Parliament. So even when I go back next week, I meet with a guy named Lord Desir, who is a economist. He was at the University of London when I was there, still is. And so en route, you just kind of see them. I know that sounds strange, but it really is just like that.
So when you sit in the Parliament, have you sat in there with them when they do their thing?
Yeah, I was there for, they have like side panel meetings to discuss topics, to inform the members of Parliament, the MPs, about topics. You know, it's a lot of.
So you get a chance to see them throw their wigs around.
One could say that, yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You're running for office, right?
Yep, I'm running for state treasurer. It's a peculiar race because it's one of those where, with the right set of circumstances and the right ground committee, it's a winnable race. So between now and March, the primaries in March, the agenda is to get on the ballot, and so that's the plan.
So you said earlier that you had already had an interest in economics, but what else sparked your interest in wanting to run for Illinois treasurer?
One of the problems is there's no creativity in fixing the state's problem. And one of the problems I saw is there was no creativity in how to fix problems. We started a charity from scratch. And my whole mandate for the charity was we have to be able to fund ourselves forward because we have to treat it like a small business. So this is why we open a daycare and a cafe that funds free music education. Whereas a lot of charitable or government organizations, it's this pay-as-you-go model. Taxpayers will pay, so we go. The donors will pay, so we go. So we wanted to just look at how to change that model around. And then looking at the state's problems, it was the same thing. It's a pay-as-you-go model. The treasurer's office right now, I bet none of you, and this is not a scathing sort of critique of you, I bet you none of you could tell me what the treasurer's office does. That is just bizarre to me. State treasurer is just this obscure, opaque office that sits in the back. And the one job is to take care of the investments of the state. It's one line in state constitution. There should be, this office by itself should be able to be the single place for jobs in the state because it's a bank, it deals with money. So why shouldn't it be the place that unites all the counties from a job perspective? So I should be able to go into the treasurer's website and be able to see that there are jobs in DuPage County, there are jobs in Saginaw, there are jobs in Carbondale. I should be able to see how many jobs have been lost, have been gained, businesses available, what they're doing, how many people live in this area. There's no information to get jobs other than, you know, Monster or some of the bigger sites. As far as the government itself, it should be, and I'm going to go slightly into the history. There's a social contract in place, and this is from Hobbes. So the Hobbesian mindset is we give our rights away in exchange for you being able to give us certain things more efficiently. The government hasn't really been acting efficiently on our behalf. And so the social contract is a little broken at the moment, and I know that's an overgeneralization of the social contract. But the point is that we need to make a government that doesn't work for us. It just works. Forget about the us part. As long as it could just do the job that, you know, it's there to do. And as the state bank, it's supposed to be looking after ways for us to generate money in the state. Because right now, the only way we generate money in the state is through tax. We have farming, we have other things, but unlike Alaska who has oil, or Texas who has oil, it's just tax. So we have to be looking at how to bring back Main Street. I know some of you might remember Chicago when it was a place where in neighborhoods there was a main street where you go to get your shopping done, you'd walk. Part of the problem we have with the city is we're now not walking to our main streets anymore. So if you don't live in a place like Hyde Park or Lincoln Park or places where there's a hub on the main street, what happens is you spend most of your time outside of your community. So that means you're not policing your community, because the best police are the people who are walking through there. This is why crime rates are lower in places that have more people walking down the street.
I was wondering if living in London and working in London, if the differences there kind of made you see things differently when you're looking back at, the U.S. or Chicago or Illinois in general.
London is a place of, it's a place of, it's weird because you'll have a £1,000,000 houses, multiple £1,000,000 houses, and then a council estate or projects right in the middle of it. And that's their way of social inclusion. So you have people who you'll never meet, never know on both sides of the street, but you live in the best neighborhood in the worst place, and that's how it works together. And I found that strange for many years, but the alternative is in France, where they just put them all at the outskirts of the city, and that's it. So there's a ring around Paris where it's there. So not too dissimilar from Chicago.
I kind of have two questions in one.
Feel free.
What keeps you motivated in doing all of this? And since you did a lot of overseas things, what do you do that benefit non-American citizens?
What keeps me motivated? I like to rely on some sort of habits that I don't have, but there are moments where I've asked myself, I don't know how charities work without anything else. So it has been a struggle, but now we're there. Now your second question, we're opening up the same program. So there's a side panel meeting at the IMF in October. So we're presenting a paper on sustainable development, on how this model can work for the globe. So now we are just partnering up charities with us. So if people are not doing well, we give them a plan, and then they become a partner. Because a lot of them don't really know what they're going to do, how they're going to do it. So the easiest thing is to say, here's your plan, we're now partners. And that's kind of been, and we've been doing this through our consulting arm called CAM Creative, which is it's just that. We are the brain trust, a think tank for revenue streams for everyone else. And that's kind of how we've been able to do it. So we have contracts with Chicago Urban League, a bunch of different charities. So we just go in and help them with what they're doing to further our mission. And so essentially that's how we're doing it globally as well. Please.
So do you still do TV work and things for like news stations and overseas like that?
The last one I had done was probably about 4 weeks ago for an international station, but mostly now it's just a radio program. I do a lot of work on VON and also on, I've done Mancow a number of times, which I don't talk very much on that show. He is the most fascinating DJ I have ever seen, because this guy goes for about 6 hours. And it's not, once you are up close seeing it, it is really quite technical. I mean, when you hear it, I thought, oh, this guy's just, talking a lot about something. But it was, this guy is really incredible. If you ever get a chance, and you want to wake up quite early, to see him in action, that guy, he is a master at what he does. So yeah, I do that. But now it's very politically focused. I'll say this, if any of you guys want to get active in the campaign, I'll give you an email address. What we're wanting to do, and this is my sales pitch to you, what we have to do is we have to galvanize all the blogs, radio stations, every mode of communication that's possible in the state of Illinois. And what we're looking for is people who are willing to act in that producer capacity to make sure that there are interviews going constantly, blog postings, things of the sort. So if you're very much interested, there's an email address that I can give to you, and it's Brennan. So it's BRENNAN, Brennan, at michaelscottcarter.com. You can also find us on michaelscottcarter.com. And if you're very much interested in this, there's a lot of work to be done. It's for a statewide race. Otherwise, thanks for having me. I do apologize for being late. They say blame it on. So, and yes, one day. Thank you, though. Thank you for having me. And if you have any more information that you need from us, you can find me on that email address. Thank you, guys.